What's up, everybody? It's Kukla, Fran, and Ollie here.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Wait a minute. Which one is? There's three. Am I Fran? Fuck you! I don't want to be Fran. You want to be Kukla?
I want to be Kukla. Right. It's ImmaLetYouFinish on the Pantheon Podcast Network. It's your host, Court and Amy.
You got to warn me before you start. You have to warn me.
I can't warn you, then you're not going to laugh if you know what's coming.
Wait a minute. Let me just ask one thing before I go into a little conversation about coffee. Was Kukla the one who said Nestles? Nestle's makes the very best chocolate. Remember that ad? Was Kukla on a side hustle for Nestle's?
I don't know if Kukla was on a side hustle for Nestle's. I'm not sure. Not
God,
sure. Now you're going to make me look that up. Because I remember that commercial. I remember the jingle. I don't actually remember the commercial.
And it was like a puppet.
But I absolutely remember that jingle.
It was the most whack-ass puppet. It was basically somebody's hand in a glove going, chocolate. Oh, my God. Kukla, Fran, and Ollie. Bring back Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming she's dead. She was.
Well, for the younger people who listen to us, they're like, what's that? Even though that's only a few of you. But if you got who that was, you're old like us. Or I should say seasoned, well-seasoned like us.
Seasoned. Yeah, you know it's bad when I went to buy my train ticket to go visit Candace, and I usually do it online, but I forgot to do it, and I went to buy my senior ticket, and the guy didn't even go, "Can I see some ID?" And I'm like, well, anyway.
No, I go to the spot around the corner and they always ask for ID for everybody. And I got to the front and they were just like, come on in. And I'm like, how dare you?
How dare you?
My ID is in my hand. It's like, no. They were like, no, sir. I'm sir.
Oh. Sir. Well, you know what makes you feel younger? You know what makes you feel younger, Courtney? I don't know about you, but when I have a steaming cup of Joe in the morning, when I am caffeinated to the gills, I feel a little bit younger. So listen up, friends and family. If you mention the code IMMA5967, Afura Coffee Company, it's rainforest coffee. So, some of the best coffee in the world comes from Latin America. This is coming from Central and South America. It's very tasty. I've had it. It's delicious. And so you're doing a good thing. You're helping the environment because you're not going to some corporation coffee plant with tons of chemicals and yuck. You're drinking coffee, which is good for you because coffee is the elixir of life. And you get a discount, 15% discount. So Afura, AFUERA. We will post everything on our Instagram and Facebook page, IMMA5967. 15% off. I think this show is best listened to, caffeinated up the yin yang. I don't know about you, but I think to be alert, you don't miss anything. So there you go. So... Hi. Now I feel bad. This is the first thing, but I'll take it down a notch. Hold on. So Sissy Houston passed yesterday, or passed on Monday, since we're taping this on a Tuesday. Sissy Houston was many things in the music industry. She was in the Sweet Inspirations, which were Elvis Presley's backup singers. I can actually sing the song Sweet Inspiration and was actually in a band that covered Sweet Inspirations. Great singer, cousin to Dionne Warwick. She had her own solo career, session singer deluxe. And I guess she is best known in many ways of being the mother of Whitney Houston. So, she lived to a ripe old age of 91. And so, Here's the Sissy Houston, right? Jersey native, right? From Jersey?
Jersey native. And people always forget, for a period in time, a little bit of a disco queen. She had People always talk about, gospel, but they skip her disco records. She was especially a black gay club staple,
Right, yeah. How ironic. And I'll leave it at that. And I'll leave it at that. I'm leaving it at that. That's it. Those of you who know us will know what I mean. Those of you who won't know us will go, what does she mean? And that's fine. That's fine.
And Luther, Luther, she sang background for a lot of people, including Luther Vandross. She organized and sang with him on a lot of those records.
No, I mean she was one of the go-to, but like I said, singing background with Elvis that was his group, the Sweet. They created that group to sing. Anyway, rest in peace, Sissy. Here's one of my horrible segues. Mm-hmm. You know what's not dead right now? New York sports teams.
New York sports teams.
I am going to freely admit that I have not been paying attention to anything pretty much baseball. And I was like, woke up one day and I'm like, wait a minute. The Mets are in the wild card. The Mets are in the playoffs. Shout out to Rob Tannenbaum who predicted this. Or
did he?
No, but he likes he's a big fan. He's a longtime fan, long-suffering Net fan, is a complete Met fan, I'm sorry, is a complete, it's redundant, obviously. But he went to a game and he was giving advice before the game. And as he said, they won and he interviewed Brian Ferry. So October 3rd was the greatest day of his life. So anyway,
the Mets are playing right now. They're playing the division series. They play tonight at 5:00, and they're playing at Philadelphia. So they're in this series versus Philly, which is always storied sort of rivalries. Any New York team versus Philly, the series right now is tied 1-1.
It is, and so's the Royals-Yanks series too.
Yeah, the Yanks lost last night.
Yeah. I always love when you're on Metro North, you can all of a sudden like a huge group of white kids get on with Yankee uniforms. Like, oh, there's a game tonight, isn't there? I mean, listen, if there were a Subway series, I think the city would officially explode. But it would be fun, right? It would be really fun.
It would be really fun.
Has there ever been a Subway series for the World Series? No, I don't think so.
Let me look it up while we're talking.
I think the Subway series are always something they create within the games. It's like an artificial thing that they create where they play each other. Because obviously, National League doesn't play the American League until they get into the World Series. So I feel like the Subway series is like a marketing thing they do, which is great. I don't think there's ever been one. I would remember that.
The 96 edition.
No.
Oh, actually, yes.
Has there?
In 2000.
Really?
In 2000, it was the best of seventh between the Yankees and the Mets.
In the World Series?
In the World Series. In the World Series. Yep.
How the hell could I forget that? Well, I forget so much. Well, anyway.
Because we don't, I'm sure, I've been to, baseball has never been my number one sport, but I used to go to a lot of baseball games growing up because my mom had a friend who worked for Major League Baseball. So
nice.
That's how we used to always go to Shea Stadium and go see the Yankees at the old Yankee Stadium.
Listen, baseball on TV is like watching paint dry.
But in person, it's a lot of fun.
It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. And it's just a lot of, especially when you have like really good games. So according to everybody I know who's into baseball, this has just been great series all around. Yeah. But yay, go either team. I know Mets fans hate the Yankees and Yankees fans meet the Mets, but guess what? This is New York, and if one of them gets in, everybody will go the hell with it. And we
always rally behind our teams.
Yeah,
just like the Liberty. And congratulations to our Liberty. They're waiting to see who they're going to play, but they've made the finals again. We want them this time to take it all the way.
Yes, yes, that'll be like super duper cool. Maybe these are all the steps to get to have pay parity. I don't know.
And our New Look Knicks won their first preseason game.
Now, I heard that they're thinking of getting rid of Deuce McBride. Is that possible? I read something this morning.
There's so kinds of rumors. We never know what's going to be what until what happens.
Okay, so
there's rumors of that. There's rumors of maybe something with Mitchell Robinson, who
they've been trying to get rid of Mitchell Robinson forever. Nobody wants him. Bless his heart. I mean, that trade, the spice on that trade for Cat was, if they had thrown it, they were like, yeah, not Mitchell Robinson. Can you give us somebody else? I mean, he's a nice guy. Can you give us someone else who's not broken down? He's not broken down. Can you give us like, even Randall when injured is a better, and can you give us, so one of our listeners, or readers
has offered us Knicks tickets?
No, but he had the audacity to say, I represent Cat. And I'm like, no, I did not know this, and we need to have an offline conversation immediately. I was like, no, how would I know that? Right. How would I know that? Yeah, because I keep a running tally of every manager who's managed. I wake up in the morning.
It's always interesting who listens to our show when people say, certain people say, and I'm like, you do? Listen to my little show?
I know, a reader or Instagram or whatever, but I'm like, why would I? Yeah, yes, of course, I knew that you managed Cat. Jesus Christmas. Anyway.
We're accepting all tickets for the Knicks.
I don't care.
All tickets for the Knicks.
I'll sit in the girls' bathroom. I don't give a flying blank. I don't care. I told you I priced tickets when they play the Nets because it is cheaper when they come over.
Come to Brooklyn,
Yeah, but they're in the super scary section.
Yeah.
The super scary section. And Miss Linden cannot do that anymore. All right. So there's a whole lot of country stuff. We'll start with the one that is less controversial, I guess. Zach Bryan, who's like a big deal in the country. I admittedly don't pay a hell of a lot of attention. I know who the major players are.
He's a huge country star.
Yeah. He has said, and critically, not Jason Aldean, like a good guy. He has said, take my name out of consideration for the Grammys this year. And I would imagine he would be someone who would be favored to be Grammy nominated, if not win. So he's not the first artist to say this, but he's basically said, hey, listen, I'm not in the mood to compete. And it's an interesting, I do see it is, look, the whole idea of, it's not like the Olympics, right? Where there are like rules that you have to hit this, you have to hit this. The Grammys are all these things. The Grammys, it's all subjective. It's so
political. It's campaigning for the votes. And there are some artists who don't always feel comfortable about being in competition with the other artists, right? They're like, I put out music. It is not about a competition to see I'm better than this, so I respected it for that. He's not the first, and I absolutely get that. It's like, listen, that's not what I make music for. There are some people who want the award. They act like they don't care about the awards, but they want them. And we see that.
All care.
And we've seen that because they talk all of that shit and then their name is called and they come from backstage suddenly to come on stage and accept their award. And like to scold the audience about whatever. I'm like, you're scolding somebody while you're holding that award because you really wanted it.
Well, yeah, this is not a Drake situation where it was sort of a temper tantrum. This is like, hey, and he hasn't even been nominated. So I appreciate that. He did. So he has said, you know what? I'm happy with my status as it is, and and good for him. All right. Luke Bryan, on the other hand, not related, who's, I guess, he's one of the judges on the show that, what is it? America's Idol? American Idol.
No, that's...
No, it's him. He's on American Idol. He's one of the judges. That's not
Blake Shelton? Oh, wait, no, Blake Shelton's The Voice. Oh, he was The Voice.
They're all the same show. Mm-hmm. That's why you can't, the man who listens to country can't tell one hulking white country singer from the other. But anyway, so he came out about a year ago, after the CMA awards were announced and Beyonce did not nab any awards for Cowboy Carter. He was asked about this. And he said, I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He, liked the album. It's great to have it here. But what he said, and I'm paraphrasing because he backpedaled it a little bit today or yesterday.
Well, he didn't really backpedal it. He said he wanted people to listen to everything that I'm saying because it actually lines up with what you and I said.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. He didn't say she doesn't belong here. He praised the record, but what he said, and this is, yes, the conversation, country music is they have fanfare where the artists go and sit and meet with like it's a meet and greet for everybody, right? They go to radio stations. There's a famous story about Taylor Swift literally going to radio stations with cookies and handing them out. They press the flesh. They do the work behind getting it because it's a very close-knit community.
Country is still a community. It is.
It's a community.
It absolutely is.
So what he was saying about Beyonce, but the pushback was that did Post Malone have to do this? There's all these other people. But what he was saying about Beyonce is we'd love to have you, but how about you want to be with us? And that I think has always been the discussion that we've had. And we'll talk about her Levi's campaign too. She's great. There's no one's taking away from her talent and her adventuresome and her collecting this and her wine. But where is she? Where is she? If you want, she's someone who's not attainable. She's not no one can be Beyonce. So if you can't relate to somebody, and that is so much a part of it, right? I mean, that you feel like you see themselves, whether that's right or wrong, you see themselves. Even Adele, with all her records that she sold, there's something about Adele you can go, yeah, I think I know a girl like that, right? Like a loudmouth English girl. We all know. Mm-hmm. Celine Dion, for all of her, there's a vulnerability and something about Celine Dion.
There's a humanness. Like when you see her and you sit down and talk. I think, again, what would have made sense to me is if Beyonce... Listen, I know you don't like doing interviews or anything anymore, but if you had gone to maybe a country publication and sat down with them and had a conversation. Even the artists that worked on the album, everything is so secretive. When they were asked about how certain things came to be, none of them would say anything. They were like, well, I don't know what I can say. And that doesn't work in country. It just
not
doesn't.
At all.
It does not. You and I talked about this from the beginning. As someone who worked in the music industry, I will tell you guys, it does not work in country. And if you want to compare a Black woman to a white man, we can do that across the board in a lot of places. And you're going to see the disparities in what's fair and not fair. But Post Malone doesn't seem that inaccessible either. You know, when people want to bring him up, he does press, he's out there, he's performing, he's doing things. When you come into that world, especially after they made you feel unwelcome in a certain way, it's already hard for women in country.
Right.
They're already fighting to get on these playlists and being, not getting the same amount of airplay and being scrutinized in a different way. So you being known for something very different, is a thing. Listen, I remember back when, when I was working with Michelle Williams, and Michelle never left gospel, never.
No.
But because she did pop records, the way she was treated by gospel was like, well, you can't do both. And it was really a push and pull. So there's always that weirdness behind the scenes that people don't know. And certain communities, gospel is like country. They come from the same vein. They are communities where everybody knows each other. And they know each other. The bookers to the radio people to the church people, they all know each other.
They all live in the same city, pretty much.
So when you start coming into that world and you're not somebody who knows anybody, you're seen as an outsider, if you don't want to play by the rules, that is great. You could put out your music and do whatever. But for people to want to expect all of the other things, it's like, well, that's not how it works. Now, we can talk about what's fair versus what the reality is.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, again. And the thing is, what bothers me, and I'm not but it's like, it's been so obvious what you need to do. You're one of the biggest stars in the world. All you need to, even if she'd done an interview with Billboard's country music editor, something, but you can't keep saying, yes, and we know, but it's like saying the sun is out today. It's a fact. Black women are treated differently. Women are treated differently. Black women are treated. We know this. It sucks. It's awful. Hopefully when we get a Black woman president, there'll be some change. There won't be, but hopefully. But you can't keep saying they're not being fair to me and they're doing this when you refuse to give an inch. An inch. Like, all she's doing right now is endorsements and products. Talk. Is she going to tour? I'm assuming she's going to tour on this record, right?
I don't know. Maybe not.
You know what's funny? I was every once in a while in my crazy Instagram algorithm, there'll be like an old interview or an old stage performance of Beyonce. She was adorable. She was like funny and adorable. And I'm not saying obviously you get older, your kids change you, whatever, but she's just not relatable anymore. Not that we can be famous, and not that none of this takes away from the talent. None of it. But yeah, when people have to sign an NDA for your record, I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean,
people were signing NDAs to go to those listening parties and the album was already out.
Right. I mean, that's crazy.
It's like, what's happening?
I'm really, I think it's a somewhat mediocre song, but why she hasn't jumped on a remix with Shaboozey? Come on. Why isn't she is anyone offering that to her? Or are they kind of,
Yeah, well, listen, he's number one now for the 12th or 13th week.
I don't get it.
But I really worry about him in that because this song now to me is gone into that sort of novelty category and he has a whole album. And I understand there's people you want to ride the wave of a hit, but you want to be really careful when you have a song like that you don't turn your artist into a one-hit wonder. And, he should have had 2 or 3 more tracks.
Singles out by now.
As a focus by this point. So that you don't stop momentum of something, but you definitely can shift to something else so you do not make him somebody who will, have to go sing that song. He'll already probably have to sing it for the rest of his life, but you don't want it to be the focus of everything because he's seen as a novelty.
Look at, there's no reason as big as he is. We keep bringing it back to her. I do. Look at Chappell Roan, 5 songs in the top 20.
Right.
Each one of them each one of them with equal. It's always nice. He's obviously talented. I think the song is kind of like, it's a novelty song. It is a novelty song, but he doesn't want to be the new Lil Nas X because where's Lil Nas X? He did have 2 hits.
Fired his whole team, now trying to reband and reboot. But he's another, it's so interesting.
He had more than 1 hit in his defense.
Did, but this is where, my working in management hat comes on. And I always think, who's advising you? Because the way everything is moving now, if you're a certain type of artist, there's a time when you take the break in between records. And I always felt like he should have gone right from that first album into a second album. People forget, the newer stars, and the people who I call the newer stars are the Rihannas, the Ariana Grandes. Why are they the way they are and able to take breaks? Rihanna, for the first 6 albums, put out an album a year. They went in a row. Mariah Carey, if you think back to the beginning of her career, how did she get so big?
Every year and a half.
It was an album. By the time they were finishing working a last single, it was like a month or 2 before there was a new single dropping from a new record. Ariana Grande, too. Those first couple of albums in a row. You really get a foothold, then you can take a break. And he took a too long a break. Then he kind of came back trying again to give you shock and image when the music wasn't great. And now it's when you let a wave crash and you always think because you were big, you will get that high again. And it doesn't, if you're lucky, you can catch another wave, but it doesn't always happen that way.
No, I don't think, and especially for somebody who a lot of it, as talented as he is built on persona and image. Listen, for my money, there are 2 artists in the world that I can think of in pop music who could take as long as they want off, drop a record, and be top of the charts: Adele and Sade, and that's it. I can't think of any.
And those are 2 people who, Adele comes from a generation of when she first put a record out, where they would work your album for almost 2 years. If you had enough songs on it, they were hits.
Yeah.
Because the singles would go and go and go. And then Sade came, and they're an outlier, right? Because Sade is one of those bands that appeals to such a wide variety of people, and it's not based on. They're not based on gimmick. They're not based on flashy. They're based on this woman who's the lead singer, lush vocals, sexy music. But let's face it, the last album, Soldier of Love, wasn't their greatest work. People didn't love it. I mean, it did good, but they've been working on a new album for a couple of years. You know, there's been each year, like an album is coming, is not coming. So it will come when it's right, and people will wait for it because they're not based on any trend. Same thing with Adele. Adele is a person that, you know, writes about her life, and she actually goes and lives it. And then when she has something really to say, she pops back out, gives us the moment. And that's what people want from her. But some of these other kids who are pure pop artists, the way the landscape is changing, you don't really get to take off these big chunks of period and hope you have the same people, because the landscape, look at Katy Perry. Katy Perry cannot catch a hit.
You look at Katy Perry.
Right. I feel like I'd be the only one at this point. Like, she cannot catch a hit.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why Katy Perry can't catch a hit.
But this is the third album in a row from somebody who was printing money, and the hits were coming left, right, and center.
Yeah, I think that she rubs people the wrong way in a lot of ways too. Yeah. I think that after a while, there's so much, and the pop sound of the moment is not what she is. The pop sound of the moment are the cool kids, are the brat. That's the moment. That's the sound. Yeah,
and look, and this is Charlie XCX's fifth album, right? You know what I mean? It's like she's been working, she's been out there for a long time. Like you said, annoys that only the cool kids and the gays could hear. And now it's like she had a moment finally where it kind of bubbled over, but she still always seems like the dangerous pop star. Even though it has gotten big, it doesn't feel like a cookie cutter pop star with her.
Well, she's not. And also she did the work behind the scenes. Yep. She's on Izzy Azalea's big hit. She wrote Icona Pop stuff. So she was somebody that people knew in the industry.
Right.
And she seems to be somebody you want to hang out with. She seems very cool. I love Troye Sivan too, that she's touring with. I just really like him. I really like him a lot. You want to talk about Garth Brooks real briefly? Another
man evidently, allegedly behaving badly.
I mean, or criminally, actually. I will say this. I don't, I hope it's not true for Trisha Yearwood's sake, because she seems like a very nice person. I will say this, though. My only frame of reference to this is that a million years ago, I interviewed the Mavericks. And at the time, Trisha Yearwood was married to the bass player to the Mavericks. Mm-hmm. And I will say he ranks on my top 20 most annoying, horrible human beings in the whole world. And they were just so obnoxious to me. They were so obnoxious to me. This is when I interviewed him separately, and then I interviewed him for VH1. They were so obnoxious to me that the manager sent me like a case of Francis Coppola wine.
Wait, it's bad when they send a case, not a bottle, not a bottle in a note. I mean,
it was more than one bottle, but the point is that this was like super expensive wine. Yeah. And it was like, because the manager's sitting there and I'm interviewing them for VH1 and, the Mavericks are great. But I just remember thinking, oh my God, these guys are awful. They were so mean to me. And the manager's like, and like the next day I come to work and there's like a bow and a box. And I was like, oh, wow.
And he was like, please take these gifts and act like that didn't happen.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Unlike Miguel, who bribed me with a fribble.
With a McFlurry.
McFlurry, yeah.
Can I just say this? I am so fortunate. Listen, I've seen artists have really bad behavior. I've had friends who've had to work with artists with really bad behavior. I feel really fortunate that throughout my career, all of the artists that I've now, when I was on Columbia, there's a couple of names who shall be nameless.
Oh, I'll say them because I probably had to interview them. Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about, and that's why I didn't bring that. That's why I didn't bring that. That's why I didn't bring this person up. I know your triggers.
Yeah, I know. Stand was the absolute worst. But like on the management side, I thought everybody really was pretty cool, except for one person who I hate. But everybody else, really, really cool.
That person's a little extra, though. I always had a decent working relationship, but that person, we are going to non-gender that person. Mm-hmm. That person could be a little extra. Mm-hmm. extra. That's all we'll say.
That person needs to love themselves.
Well, I don't care if they love themselves or not.
Oh, no, well, I do because you don't and you're a horrible person. But that...
And you'll know who we're talking about when I make up the playlist. Okay. And it's nothing but track after track by that person.
And you know what? We're going to take a break and be right back. And we're back.
All right, so getting back to Beyonce real quickly. So Beyonce has in a who'da thunk it, but marketing kind of genius move, has a new promotional campaign with Levi's. Levi's, you say? How strange. Why Levi's? Well, the good folks at Levi Strauss noticed that on Cowboy Carter, she had a song called Levi's with 2 eyes. I wonder if that was like a copyright thing. I don't know. And they went, we're going to make up a whole brand of jeans called Levi's with 2 eyes and get Beyonce to be the spokesperson for it. And from what I've read, sales are through the roof.
Oh, have sales gone up?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's a recreation of their famous 1980s commercial with the model Nick Cayman, who comes into a lot.
He had a record. Yeah. Remember when he was on Warner Brothers?
I have it.
Okay, I don't even know why I have
with his Madonna written song, each time you break my heart. Oh, yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's a recreation of at least it's a series of commercials, and the first one is dropped with, you remember he originally comes into the laundromat and takes off his clothes and wash. And so that's the first one. And listen, good for her.
Good for her.
Good for them.
Do some press. Well, nothing wrong with Levi's. Do you remember buying 501s from Dave's Army Navy and then you'd sit in the bathtub to shrink them?
No, but then I went through my phase of, I would get a lot of the post-wash. But then I went through my phase. First of all, I still have a closet full of Levi's. To me, I have gone, I'm a denim guy, but my favorite jeans are always still my Levi's.
I know, I can't fit into a lot of my old stuff.
Then I went into my Levi's 501 hard jean phase.
Oh, yeah. That's the one you sit in the bathtub.
I would roll them up. I'd do a really high cuff on them. Oh, man. Still, 501s are still my favorite jeans.
No. The old ones, with the red tag in the back. No, we used to buy them at Dave's Army Navy, which probably doesn't exist.
Isn't it? The one that isn't it still on 6th Avenue?
26th Street. Like,
I think that's still there.
Okay, near Billy's Topless. Sorry, it's true. The girls from the Baby Doll also dance at Billy's Topless. But you'd buy your jeans.
Dave's Army Navy is still there.
Oh, good. And you would sit. That's where I got my leather jacket. They would sell Shot. Carhartt, that was the first place that sold Carhartt. Ben
jeans was also my place to go get Levi's because you could also get the used ones, and I would get the old ones.
And then you would get them pegged. Remember, you get your Levi's pegged. I can't fit into any of that shit anymore. Once you have children, it's very hard to fit into anything that does not allow for a waist. I mean, not a waist, hips. But.
And then I have this one pair that I really love that I cannot fit anymore. This is when I know when people are like, oh, you're skinny. And then I convince myself I can get into my one favorite pair that I bought from, oh my God, what's the name of that shop in LA? What's the shop in LA?
Aardvarks?
No. The really good one, it was pricey. It was on Melrose.
Kitson's?
No, not Kitson. Before Kitson, Fred Siegel, motherfucking Fred Siegel, and I still have them in the closet. They're these Levi's that I cannot fit. I refuse to get rid of them.
No, you don't get rid of them.
I love them so much.
No, you don't get rid of them.
Levi's are my shit. Good for them. Like, listen, we always love when a partnership works, and
do some press, Beyonce. That's all. Do some press. Maybe they'll sponsor her tour. That would be a nice little write-off, right? That would be a smart marketing move. All right. Speaking of marketing, okay, there is probably not a group I care less about than Pink Floyd. No, there are groups I care less about. that's bad English, care less. There are probably groups I don't care about. Pink Floyd was never, I mean, I know they're good. I know a couple of songs, but anyway, Pink Floyd has done like a lot of groups have done in their twilight years, and they have sold their catalog, their likeness, everything for what someone else, 400 million sounds a little low for Pink Floyd, right?
I'm thinking to myself.
I mean, Dark Side of the Moon alone should clock like 200 million right there, right?
The Wall alone should I was just thinking for the music and your name and likeness.
Yeah, that's a lot. Not a lot. That seems like, I mean, Springsteen sold his catalog, I think, for 300 million. It just seems like
feels like a guys who have a bunch of money who is just like, all right, some more money. That's what it feels like. So
what's going to happen with Roger Waters? Because, Roger Waters is persona non grata. So this means that he can, because he tries to tour with that name. And David Gilmour has like shut him down. So, because, Roger Waters is very problematic as a human being. So,
I had no idea until, like, because I really don't pay attention to him until kind of recently, all of the issues with Roger Waters.
Well, it's been going on. We've discussed it on the show. It's been going on for long.
But I don't pay attention to him.
I
didn't realize it was an ongoing thing. I thought maybe some of the things were something from the past, but evidently no. It's a current ongoing situation.
He's not a former anti-Semite. He continues to be. Yeah, he's found a groove and kept with it. He's also an anti-vaxxer. He's anti-Ukraine. He's a Trumper, basically, without being a Trumper. I don't know if he even votes in the United States. I'm assuming he's a British citizen. So, but anyway, 400 million seems like peanuts to me. It really does.
I felt like it was low.
Yeah, but maybe David Gilmour is like, whatever. Okay, when you put Frank, I'm like, what happened with Frankie Valli? And then I looked at the video. Of poor Frankie Valli. Now, this happened about a week and a half ago. I looked at I looked at the video of poor Frankie Valli. They yanked Joe Biden out of the presidency for less than that. And I'm looking at okay, first off, this is not to be mean. Oh my God, don't.
Because he's happy.
No, but I already thought he had passed several years ago. And I'm not trying to be funny. I really honestly, I thought he was like the Abe Vigoda of like doo-wop. I
thought Abe Vigoda was dead 400 times, but he actually died. I was like, oh.
I know. I thought you were dead. Right. Okay, so this, the poor, does he know where he is? Does he know where he's going?
He was like, I'm happy. And he was like, I have shows booked through April of 2025.
Good.
But is he lip syncing?
See, it kind of does look like he's lip syncing.
I don't think he's that, because that voice is coming out way too clear, and his mouth is barely moving. You can really hear the background guys; they're like really singing, but I don't think he's actually singing.
The Seasonettes or whoever's left it. I mean, Frankie Valli. There were 3 singers when I was a kid that scared the crap out of me with their voice. I tell people this all the time. Frankie Lyman scared the crap out of me, his voice, because I'd look and it's a boy and he sounds like a girl, scared me. Little Anthony of the Imperials, same thing. And Frankie Valli scared me.
So all of the boys with the high voices, you were
the falsettos, you were like, because I'd look at him and go, that sounds like weird. Even then, gender confused me. So he's 900 years old and he's still 91. Performing. And 900 years old, still performing, and mazel. You know what I mean? Doesn't he still have Jersey Boys money coming in?
All of the things. Listen, I guess he's like, why? I'm not sitting around. People, listen, if the people are still coming out to see it,
I can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
I got to say, though, I was in some place recently and they were playing Oh, What a Night. That is like the creepiest song ever written. I mean, really, think about it. That's like a date rape song when you think about it. It's a creepy pedophile song.
Oh, date rape and pedophilia.
All right, not date rape, but it's like a creepy. It's basically like a song about a guy going to like an old. There's something creepy about it happened and it like basically it's about premature ejaculation with a teenager and an older woman, right? Am I wrong? It happened way too soon. It ended way too soon. At least with Rod Stewart and Maggie May, it was like a full-blown thing, and he got I don't know. I always thought that song was super creepy.
Or it could be like your first time, because listen, your first time, as soon as you get in there, it's like it's a wrap.
Why would you write a song about the worst sex you've ever had in your life?
Nobody ever says it's the worst sex you ever had in your life. It's like that first time adventure. Maybe for girls it's the worst. For guys, like we immediately get the, like for girls it's probably like, ow, that shit hurt. And for men, the first time you're like, I want to feel that again.
I just find the song to be a little creepy. But anyway, the point is that go forth, Frankie Valli.
I like those earrings.
Oh, thank you. My friend Jane Diaz. I'm in my I must wear something heavy to keep myself awake phase of my life.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. What are you listening to?
Well, for some reason.
Oh my God. We're going to change the name of when we start doing the additional material on the Pantheon, we're going to call it For Some Reason.
For some reason. I've been in my white ladies from the 80s, late 90s phase who write songs and sing really well. And
Listen, Manchester?
No. It started with Jennifer Rush. I started listening to a couple of Jennifer Rush albums.
Oh my God, jeez Louise!
And I like her self-titled album, which had the original version of "The Power of Love" that Celine Dion later made famous. It was absolutely amazing. And then I went on to her Moving album. And then it reminded me, of the days when I was at Sony and actually when I was in college, I discovered her at the radio station with Heart Over Mind and Passion and those albums. Then I moved on to having a Chantal Kreviazek moment.
And kudos to you for being able to pronounce that.
Yeah, I love Chantal Kreviazek, and those first two albums were just spectacular. Under These Rocks and Stones and Color Moving Still. Her song Blue is just fucking amazing. I love that song. And so I've been listening to a lot of Chantal, and I was really
Natalie Imbruglia.
I was never really into Natalie Imbruglia.
Really? Okay.
And then I kind of was listening to the Supremes, but only the Jean Terrell years, which I feel like are really underappreciated. And you could tell, like, Barry was so, at that point, all in on Diana's solo career that he really wasn't paying attention to them. And they should have, even though they had hits, they could have been really bigger during Jean's years because their voices were really great. And you really got to hear all three again, Mary and Cindy. And the focus wasn't just on one person. And those kind of first couple of records after Diana Ross left have some real gems and jewels in it. So I've been kind of listening to that.
But those weren't white ladies. You made a shift into a black lady for the Supremes, unless you know something I don't know.
No.
Okay. Want to make sure for those of you keeping score at home.
Right.
So I will congratulate you before I say mine. You have three artists who actually can sing, and the production isn't over the top. You are making baby steps, baby
motherfucking steps. That's because all my non-singing chicks. Where's everybody? Where are you?
Well,
You're all quiet someplace. Like, where are my ladies with high production money and limited vocals who are not Katy Perry? Because I'm not into that.
Well, yeah. All right. So for some reason, I guess I'm still coasting on my Oasis kind of nonsense. I started listening to a bunch.
They did the exact thing we said that we were going to do. Sold out everything.
In an hour.
We said it was like, there's no way there's going to be just one show. I'm surprised they only added one extra show at MetLife.
They might, you never know. They might come, who knows? They might come back around. I mean, I think this is going to shut everybody up because I can't imagine. Well, anyway. So I love, the first Seal record to me is one of my favorite debuts ever. So I listened to but I haven't listened to the second Seal record in quite some time. I mean, and the fact that he called every record Seal was also confusing. It was like Peter Gabriel. Every record was called Peter Gabriel. The second Seal record, of course, has Kiss from a Rose, which is, listen, the funniest thing in the whole world was when Seal was like, yeah, I'm going to do stuff on my own. I'm not going to work with Trevor Horn anymore. And everybody's like, yeah, that's not happening. Okay. Because Trevor Horn was so integral to his sound. But
Prayer for the Dying that's a fucking great song.
No, he's just, at his peak. I saw him at his peak. He's a fantastic performer. Fantastic. It's funny. I interviewed him when he first came to the United States when he had dreads and he was wearing like Jordans.
When he was like Killer and everything from the first album.
And he wanted to like go to West 4th Street and play basketball, blah, blah, blah. Cut to 5 years later, he's skiing and, whatever. So something happened between then and there. But great. Those first 2 albums are just great. The first 3 albums, actually. But the first record is great. But the second record, so it's wonderful to listen to that. Then I haven't listened to them. I'm trying to think if I ever sat down and actually listened to their album. But I was listening to The Laws, who are best known for There She Goes, which is supposedly a song about doing heroin. So I need to re-listen to it. Great, they precede Oasis, but they're certainly part of that whole era of British bands really making, and Noel Gallagher talks about them constantly in terms of a band that he considers really, they precede them maybe by a little bit, their same time frame, but he talks about them a lot. So The Laws, and the band that I used to love, I don't know how I got into them. They were somebody's favorite band. I think Paul Weller was a big fan of theirs. Ocean Color Scene, whose second album, Mulching. It's very, I can't really describe it other than it's really good. It's just kind of got this old British kind of soul kind of vibe, but definitely a rock band. And I just really like them a lot. Again, this is when a lot of British bands were getting signed. Because a lot of British bands were not a Britpop band at all. I think Paul Weller was one of their big proponents. But anyway, so though I have been in Britain in the 90s, that's what I've been kind of going for these days.
And fun seal fact.
Oh, wait. Wait, what?
He had a number 1 single in France with Mylène Farmer, Les Mots.
Christ.
And
I was hoping
for her last 3 concerts that she just did at the Stade de France, he came out all 3 nights and they sang the ballad.
Okay. Thank you. One day we're going to get through a show without you mentioning Madonna or Marilyn, but I don't know what that day is going to be. I'll tell you what, if I find out that I have a week to live, I'm going to say to you, in this week before I die.
Can you please not mention either one of Madonna?
Yeah. Or Marilyn, or if they ever do a collaboration, I will have to just jump out a window.
I don't think they would, because I remember back in the 90s where Madonna called her tacky.
And on that note,
you know what it is, kids. It's time to let you finish on the Pantheon Podcast Network. You can catch us here every week on our feed, on the Pantheon main feed. You can catch us on our Facebook page, I'm gonna let you finish, all one word. You can catch us on TikTok, I'm gonna let you finish podcast. You can catch us on Instagram at I'm gonna let you finish NY. Tell a friend. Rate the show, share the show, and we will see you next week. And remember, drink some coffee. Bye.
Drink some coffee. Bye.
The Kimi Kato Show, featured on Pantheon Podcasts.
The Kimi Kato Show is a weekly exploration of Japanese pop culture in all its facets. Kimi and Jeremiah, as hosts, delve into various aspects of Japanese culture, including music, food, fashion, and film, offering listeners a comprehensive and entertaining look at what makes Japanese pop culture unique and intriguing. It is your invitation to Japan.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan.
I'm Doug. We're in the band Hoobastank.
Hi, I'm Takato Miyake, working for Suntory Global Spirits.
Hello, I'm Sincere from Ryusenkei.
Hello guys, this is Masata Kumi.
This is Chris Hart.
Hi, I am Sugizo. You are listening to Kimi Kato Show. Thank you.
Kimi Kato Show is brought to you by Evolve Entertainment Network, Pantheon Podcasts, and Radio Candy Media.